What concerns you most about Zion's game?
Recklessness. What I mean by that is that he goes 100 miles an hour. It's youthful exuberance and enthusiasm or whatever. But a few of his dunks, if you watch the way he lands, it's a torn knee waiting to happen. That's the only thing that concerns me. I want to see him use his right more, be a bit more ambidextrous to some degree. Like I said, listen, you got guys like Clyde Drexler that went to the Hall of Fame, but I've always, not to say I'm not telling anybody anything they didn't know, but I never, ever, ever thought he was in the same class as Jordan, and I knew Jordan was going to eat him alive when they played one another because he was a right-handed.
That's the only thing stopping Clyde from being mentioned in that next category.
You'll smile when I'll say this. Who was a victim of that? Remember Walter Berry out of St. John's? You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was sensational, but a lefty. Right. Asked him to use his right, wasn't happening. Those are the kind of things I pay attention to. And so when I see you being a one-armed bandit, I don't like that. Not to say, Wendy, that Zion can't rectify that, because I know he will. But if you watch him, he plays with such veracity, and he elevates the 45-inch vertical leap. If you watch him come down on some of those dunks, it's a knee injury waiting to happen. Remember, the shoe alone, because he slipped on the floor or whatever against North Carolina and busted the shoe open or whatever. Remember, he was out for about 5-6 games because of that alone. He's not invincible physically, particularly in the lower extremities. And how you
look how Klay Thompson just got hurt.
You got to watch. If Klay Thompson had laid the ball up instead of dunking. All right, they're trying to dunk the ball on that play. Klay Thompson would have played he could have continued playing in the NBA Finals. But I'm saying you got to monitor stuff like that, because when you're so strong and fast. See, the thing about Barkley is that Barkley, as great as Charles Barkley was, y'all, he didn't have this kind of speed. Right. And so as a result, the ability to pace oneself to such a degree and really to measure how you went to the rim and with what level of velocity you did it, and veracity, rather, you did it, matters. I get scared. When I see Zion, all I concern myself with is he going to stay healthy? That's it.
I have more concerns than that, but I think that's a good one. Because, like, you look at a guy like Derrick Rose, it's like he had a Mack truck engine in a tiny little frame. It was too much for the frame. The crazy thing about Zion is he has that kind of crazy engine in a huge frame. But it's almost like that doesn't make you feel better about him not getting hurt. It almost makes you even more scared. He's just like a freak of nature.
And Max, can I say this? He's no Saquon Barkley. You see them tree trunks for legs?
Yeah.
That Saquon, that's what we rave about. You don't look at Zion and say that about his legs.
He's a basketball player, not a football player.
He's a basketball player. Yeah, you don't say that.
So I get that. Here's the number one. So I'll leave that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a legit concern. Especially he got hurt already. The shoe busted and he hurts himself because he's too physically much for planet Earth. But in terms of his game, it's a shot for me. Look, I think his floor is all-star. He's not going to be less than an all-star because he wants to play the right way. He's a willing passer. He's a smart player. He's a hustle player, and his athletic ability is too great, so he'll at least be an all-star. But in terms of him being a five-star player, an MVP, to me that's going to be how well does he shoot it. You know, he has enough wiggle in his game to get through spaces. He has enough handles to do that, given his size and leaping ability. The question for me is, can he consistently hit an outside shot? If he can, game over. Game over.
So I think very few rookies can physically compete in the NBA. Even LeBron, Ron Artest bullied him around. Nobody is bullying this guy. So I think he comes in with his size, he have a better chance. My concern is, what position is he going to play defensively? He's not quick enough, I don't think, to stay with small forwards, at least a lot of them. And they're going to want to play him at center, I think. And if you look right now, the Pelicans are out there looking for a stretch four-man.
Yes, they are.
They're going to put Brandon Ingram at 3, and they're going to put this new stretch four-man. They've been talking to the Timberwolves, trying to get Dario Saric in these trade talks with him before.
Mirotic is a free agent.
Mirotic is a free agent, and if they make a trade with the Atlanta Hawks and clear out salary cap space, Mirotic could be their thing.
Marcus Morris is a free agent.
Marcus Morris,
at 3.
Markieff Morris, all of those guys. They're looking for stretch fours, which leads me to believe that they sort of see him as maybe
the Morris twins can play. They get underestimated and underappreciated, by the way. So they can play.
For sure.
My concern is defensively, if they really want to play him at center. Now, Mike Schmitz, who's a guy who I respect his opinion, he compares him to Draymond Green on defense. Draymond Green is a 1 in a million player because of his intelligence.
I apologize. I lost you. Who's compared to Draymond Green?
defensively. Mike Schmitz
Zion.
compared
Okay,
Zion.
gotcha. All right.
Because they're the same, they're similar height range.
Yeah, and their athleticism. I mean, we see that highlight where he goes flying from the lane out to three-point line and blocks a shot.
Right, that's the difference with him and Draymond. He could block shots.
That's right.
He has the hops to block.
When you see that, you say, oh my God, he can play in the paint and the perimeter at the same time. I understand why they do that. I just don't know if, as a center, he can do it in the NBA.
Are you ready for this? First of all, I'm not sure about Brandon Ingram and that blood clot. I'm not sure about that.
I'm with you.
All right, there's a question mark. Are you ready for this? I don't have a problem with Zion and Julius Randle being on the court at the same time, because Julius Randle has no business on the perimeter. He's a one-armed bandit himself. And I know they're going to probably move him. I get all of that. But what I'm saying is he's a one-armed bandit, but he's incredibly physical. And I'm still mad the Lakers let him go. And I told Magic that. Now, Zion, even though he's physical and he can do damage, his damage in the open court, he can do damage in the post. Zion can step out on the perimeter and drive to the basket. I'm not saying that's ideal.
But he can do it.
But he can do it. And if he can do that, the combination of those two dudes physically allows you to go out there and get a taller guy that's relatively soft, as you would say, that you could put on the front line with them just to be an able extra body.
The way I say, everyone compares Ja Morant to Russell Westbrook, but to me, he's really D'Angelo Russell with more athletic ability, right? Similarly, Zion Williamson, the first guy that came to mind when I first saw him was a souped-up Blake Griffin, which is a great thing. But actually, he's also Julius Randle with athletic ability, with much more. Like Ja Morant is to
Zach Randolph
D'Angelo Russell what Zion Williamson is to Julius Randle.